On here. I hope everyone's very well. It was great to be back last week and doing a joint post with my good friend Mark Basehead 4 over on Dr. Rhythm. Great evening. Thank you again, Mark. I was going to do a kind of recent finds post tonight, but instead, a friend of mine asked me to recommend to her some Kip Hanrahan records. So while I was going through the pile, I thought, why not do a post about Kip Hanrahan? So this is a kind of Give Me 10, or it might be a Give Me 11, actually, Kip Hanrahan records. I've concentrated just on stuff on his own label, American Clavé, rather than talking about his productions for people like Jack Bruce and Eddie Palmieri and others. So I've kept to his own kind of label here. He's an amazing character, really. Kip Hanrahan. He comes from a kind of Jewish Irish background and was brought up in the Bronx, in the Puerto Rican kind of districts of the Bronx. His music's influenced by literature, by the amazing African American writer Ishmael Reed, by the stories in the 1001 Nights, all kinds of different literary influences, but also there's a really strong Cuban influence on his music, and by that I don't mean it's kind of like Cuban grooves. There's a real kind of strong traditional, also Santeria kind of influence on his work, which comes through very strongly. So I'm going to talk about some of Kip's records and a few of the things he's produced as well. Starting off with something I've already shown before and has also been shown by Secretary of Funk, by Derek, I think, as well, at some point or other. And this is his first solo record, which is called Coup d'etat, which features an unusual, amazing lineup, from Bill Laswell to Arto Lindsay to Chico Freeman to Bayard Lancaster to Anton Fier to Carlos Ward on here. I mean, this was a kind of real statement of intent by Kip. And I can't remember who introduced me to his work, but whoever it was, thank you very much indeed. And this is I should give a health warning, by the way. There are some CDs in this video as well as records. This was his first record anyway. Talked about it before. Definitely one of my favourites still of his work. This is followed up by his second record, which was called Desire Develops an Edge, which was I think Roger Coleman showed at some point or other in one of his videos. This was a kind of an LP and an EP together, and in a way kind of follows some of the same themes of the first record. Again, usually wildly eclectic mixture of people on here, including Jack Bruce and Steve Swallow and all kinds of interesting musicians on here as well. This has got some, again, fantastic music. Nice kind of printed inner sleeves. Good information about the artist. Reproduces some of the songs. There's a nice picture of Jack Bruce on here as well, who sings on quite a lot of this record as well. Very highly recommended. I mean, what can I say, really? Excellent stuff. Next up, and this is the kind of first CD I'm going to show, and this was from his CD called All Roads Are Made of Flesh, which is a live album. And the reason I like this is it kind of picks up a number of the really, really good songs from his first 5 or 6 records, actually. And the versions from here, I think, are really, really strong. Has an amazing song on here called The First and Last to Love Me, which has the singer Carmen Lundy singing on it. And I think, one of the real themes in Kip's work is sex, actually. It's hard to dress it up as anything else, but that's what it's about, really. And that has to be one of the sexiest songs ever made, I think, and Carmen Lundy sings it beautifully. So this is his record, All Roads Are Made of Flesh, which is a live album. Again, featuring amazing array of musicians, everybody from Andrew Cyril's on here, Chico Freeman again. Yeah, excellent stuff. And then I'm cheating a bit because the next one is actually basically a 3-volume set, and this is his 1001 Nights, which actually takes the theme from Richard Burton translation of 1001 Nights and actually kind of treats it to. It's almost like the 3 CDs together almost make up a kind of a story, really. Features the characters from 1001 Nights, incredible range of musicians again. I mean, I have to say that one of the real standouts on these 3 CDs is Don Pullen, who plays amazingly well on this record. And I think these were some of the last recordings he made, actually, before he very sadly died. Also features the pianist Dee Dee Jackson as well. And Don and Dee Dee played together on a few tracks, and I've never heard 2 pianos sound so good together, actually. Really, really. I've listened to these CDs many, many times, and I'm only just beginning to kind of really delve into what they're all about, I think, actually. Deep stuff. Mixture of, again, a lot of kind of a lot of eroticism, but also a lot of politics in here as well. And Kip doesn't hide his political beliefs in what he does. Then jumping forward a bit, and this is his last but one recording, which is called Beautiful Scars. And this has got some kind of really beautiful stuff on it as well. One of the tracks I really like on here is called Buses from Heaven, which is a song based on the fact that in Cuba, a lot of London buses were exported to Cuba, and they kept their same kind of destination on the front. Nobody bothered changing destinations, so they had kind of British destinations on the front of these buses, or London destinations on the front of these buses. This kind of, on this one, Brandon Ross, the guitarist, who is now, I think, a major collaborator of Kip's, really steps forward and also sings on this record, and he's got a beautiful voice, actually. Really, I think, quite up there with his first 2 records in terms of my favourites. This is called Beautiful Scars. Now, Kip Hanrahan has a number of regular projects. One of those has been talked about quite a bit recently, which is the Conjure project. And I think they've had 4 records out now, maybe 3 records out now. This is, I think, probably on balance my favourite of them, and this is the second Conjure release, and it's called Cab Calloway Stands In for the Moon, based on Ishmael Reed's writing. Again, features an incredible lineup of musicians. Bobby Womack, again, Alan Toussaint, Eddie Harris is on here as well. Steve Swallow on bass, and there's a couple of really great tracks. One of my favourite tracks on here is called Sputin, which is written by Alan Toussaint, Leo Noncentelli from The Meters, and so forth. Really excellent stuff. Just as good as the first one, probably a little bit overall stronger than the first one as well. So it's Conjure, Cab Calloway Stands In for the Moon. One of his other projects, which is a kind of ongoing one, is called Deep Rumba, which is where you really hear the Afro-Cuban kind of influence on his music kind of stand out. And this is the second of the Deep Rumba records, which is called A Calm in the Fire of Dances. Take it out of it. So take it out of the dual casings properly. This features 2 of his really regular collaborators, Robbie Amin and El Negro Horacio Hernandez on here, who are 2 incredible drummers. And in fact, playing in the background is some music from the first Deep Rumba record. Now this is deep stuff, actually. I mean, the name of the group kind of just covers it, really. I mean, this is really delving deep into Cuban links, but also having some other kind of interesting influences in there. Particularly Charles Neville from the Neville Brothers features quite highly on this as well. So this is Deep Rumba, A Calm in the Fire of Dances. I recommend both of their records, but this probably just edges it, I think, in terms of being my favourite. So next up, Kip's done some amazing productions on, externally, as I mentioned earlier on, with people like people like Jack Bruce and Eddie Palmieri, but also on his own level. And this is a really interesting record. It's called Darn It, and it features music based on the writings of Paul Haynes, who's one of my favourite kind of poets and writers. He also wrote a lot about jazz, and there's a great book of his called Secret Carnival Workers, which collects a lot of his writings about jazz. Now this is kind of different to the usual Kip records, and it features kind of people interpreting his music either musically or by actually using the text themselves. And here we have Evan Parker, Carmen Lundy again, Paul Bley, Robert Wyatt, Jack Bruce, Marvin Smitty Smith, Mary Margaret O'Hara. I mean, an incredible range of people on here. And it's a double CD based on Paul Haynes' work, and I'm really fond of this. It's called Darn It. Shouldn't be too difficult to find. Some great performances on here as well. Now, one of Kip Hanrahan's main collaborators is Cuban violinist and composer called Alfredo Triff. And this is he's produced quite a lot of his collaborators on solo records. This one's called 21 Broken Melodies at Once. And Alfredo Triff is a really interesting musician, because as well as playing Cuban kind of popular music, he's also kind of got a background in contemporary composition. And this is a kind of interesting record because it has a lot of really kind of quirky, interesting little kind of avant-garde effects on it, as well as the kind of the more traditional kind of Cuban-based work. This is 21 Broken Melodies at Once. Really good one. And getting near the end now, one of another big influence on Kip, but also one of his, I suppose, most famous productions was working with the new tango composer and performer called Astor Piazzolla, who died probably about 10 years ago now, I think, or maybe slightly longer. And of all the records he produced 3 with Astor Piazzolla for his own label. The one that has to stand out for me anyway is the one called Tango 0 Hour, which was also kind of released on Sting's label, the Pangea label. There's quite a lot of Kip's records at one point. This is tango, which has been taken into a new zone really by including I suppose elements of contemporary classical music, but it's still tango, but it's kind of very, very kind of interesting, complex, melodic, outstanding record. This is a fantastic record, and certainly one of my absolute favourite records actually. Astor Piazzolla is an extraordinary kind of musician. Also recommend the other ones produced by Kip, and just about anything by Astor Piazzolla. But this one's a real standout. And then finally, also based on tango is a record by Silvana Del Luigi, I think you pronounce her name, which is called Yo, which I don't think is a kind of hip-hop greeting. I think it means something else in this case. And this features some of the musicians from Astor Piazzolla's band, also kind of Steve Swallow, who's incredible on this record, actually plays beautifully on this record. She's got a wonderful voice, and this is kind of vocal. This is looking at the new tango theme, but with some incredible kind of vocals on here. Beautiful singer. So this is Silvana Del Luigi. So that's just a little bit of Kip Hanrahan, really, and hope you enjoyed it. Post some comments if you did, or didn't, actually, for that matter. And I'll be back in a couple. I'm away a lot for work, but I'll be back in a couple of weeks and hopefully doing another post soon. Thanks for watching.